Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of YouTube. Welcome to another edition of GNN. If you're watching this, it's already Thanksgiving Day, so hopefully if you observe this, hopefully you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving. But before we get into the main event and tonight's banner, let's go over some news. Alright folks, starting from the top, it looks like there's a special Black Friday promotion that they have going on for GBO2. The first off being a special token pack of 31 tokens, good enough for one 10 pull for half off, essentially, which we'll get into a little bit of some circumstantial mild irony. But if you're looking to get a infusion, or maybe you got some generous benefactors that would love to treat you out early for Christmas, this might be something up your alley. And this is also, I know they do word it under yen and tax and everything, as seen in the little description there, which I will include the main topic on the description below. This also does apply to the North America region as well. I wouldn't see why it wouldn't, but just to kind of clarify things. On top of that, we do have a specific Black Friday special supply drop implemented. This is good until the 23rd to the 30th. And it's a one special pull, guaranteed to get a mobile suit from the latest lineup right now. So definitely something I would consider if you don't have a whole lot of options in your hangar bay, not a whole lot of suits, and maybe the current banner suit might not be your cup of tea, which we'll get into a second. On top of that, we do have iterations that were also talked about in the latest developers blog, which I will also include in the description. The ZZ Gundam and the HML version is coming now with the new skill added with the specific ramp attack when in biosensor, as verbatim, when biosensor ability boost is activated, the power of the ramp attack is increased if the player moves at high speed for a certain amount of time in flight form in waiver mode, and while the skill is active, if the damage to the unit HP is reduced. So that's going to be crazy. Going to see a lot more Wave Rider modes flying around at what is it? 600. On top of that, the the Molanoke is getting the sensor unit ability, very similar to what the Isaac and the Jigen have. This one I think is a little more persistent since it's based on heat gauge, as you can see there, and it'll allow you to, based on the little description, that you're going to be able to use or switch weapons while the effect is active. So they want you to be proactive about swapping off. On top of that, which I have already done on my stake soft, the Zeta Plus A1 model is now able to use the Rizel beam rifle. Now, of course, there are stats different to, say, the Yakushiki rifle that it normally uses compared to this, but this adds another melee, since this is a little more of a melee raid suit. I would say, even though you do have some range options, this does kind of open up for some more options for all the players that are behind it. In addition to that, we are also getting some parameters adjustments for certain suits, namely the Unicorn and Banshee units and their NTD mode. There are also some adjustments as well. For example, now when you're going in support attacks or artillery, you do get a little radius to go along with that as well. Now they've finally implemented. I say finally because they've never had that before. They've also made some tweaks to the tutorial side. Instead of stating that to inflict 3 sets of attacks, they're actually now saying inflict 3 sets of attacks to destroy multiple suits. Some grammar and everything kind of make it a little more easier to understand what they want you to do and kind of understand the mechanics behind the game. On top of that, in the training for repairing, they do have a indicator on if you're on the wrong tool to repair stuff. Little tweaks there. So our main event is the Ga-Zowmn, which we'll get to a second. It is a gunner type, so that's pretty cool. aside from our main event, we do have a special step-up supply drop for that suit, as well as, well, this is a big surprise, the level 2 version of the high mobility form of the GA-Zowmn Custom, which brings this now to 600. I paused there just for dramatic effect, but the crazy thing is that if you have both versions of the GA-Zowmn Custom, both 500 and 550, you don't even really have to worry about the weapons there. But if you do not have them, this is also part of that limited supply drop, so you do have a chance to kind of round out your hangar bay loadouts if you have any version of the regular, original, general version of the GA-Zowmn Custom, and if you happen to get, you know, lucky and get either the level 1 or level 2 or even both. And then they're also listing the premium login bonuses if you happen to hit platinum, and unfortunately have the whale, like some ones out here. Jumping into the other side of things, in the recycled ticket counter, we are getting the level 3 Z+C1, which brings us up to, I believe, 700 now. And then we're also getting the level 1, level 2 of the Jetta, which is the 450, 500 respectively. Now, in terms of the P exchange, we are now getting the SML gun cannon level 2 and the Pale Rider level 1, level 2 VG versions. I know some people in the competitive side of things certainly vouch for this suit. The ability to break a little bit of MA, a lot of build-up options, stun options, in a sense. It's very, I would say, versatile, especially with the fact that you still keep the 80s ability, and you're able to use some of the beam weaponry found in the ZN arsenal. So, on to our next topic. Alright, now going over the unit adjustments, we already know the Unicorn Gundam and Banshee Gundam have been awaiting their nerf most patiently, and so it's official. The NTD has been nerfed in both area and duration, but they haven't stated in the log here how far that is or the actual duration, but based on hearsay from my sources, which I haven't confirmed yet, but I'm pretty sure it's probably around that same description. We're looking at about 100 meters or so for about maybe 10 seconds. Could be more than that. If you've experienced it, played 700 recently, and you know, did science things with GBO2, feel free to let me know in the comments. But they are also tweaking the awakened mode, which is now cut down to 4K when you hit it, and then your damage reduction is now cut down to 50%. So this is their, you know, for lack of a better term, band-aid to solve that situation between the, well, at least primarily with the Unicorn Gundam. I believe the Banshee, to kind of save the story description, that's the only thing that's been adjusted on the Banshee. Yeah. Jumping into Zeta, Zeta's got a boost. Its overall numbers have been increased. Its thruster cap is now at 80 with turn speed at 69. Level 2 and level 3 got all the fun stuff. So level 2 has a melee boost increased to 35 now. It's also getting thruster output increased level 1, reaction booster program level 2, and respectively for both the level 3 as well. So this is in regards to, it's supposed to be able to take advantage of 2 types of melee weapons, but not necessarily able to, as the newer suits that are in that same cost range are around and kind of do the same thing, I guess. I'm kind of reading a little bit verbatim and skimming it. But I haven't taken out Zeta in a bit. Might take it out again with these new buffs, but based on the figures that they have given, it's a little underperforming, to put it nicely. Going into the Wave Rider mode, you know, we have the app still there. The turn speed, or yeah, the turning speed has now slightly increased as well. biosensor ram attack has been given. Yeah, pretty much what we kind of went over earlier. Beam saber, rapid shooting boots has increased. Down melee attack boost has decreased for the sub weapon. And then in Wave Rider mode, I'm kind of jumping back and forth here. The beam gun has increase in the stagger accumulation. ASL auto aim boost is expanded and is able to be used during high speed movement, which is a big deal because a lot of suits that do high speed movement will transform aren't really able to use it while you're boosting. So we're definitely adding some range light to it, but we'll see how that plays out. Silver Bullet got a boost. HP has been boosted. Same with its ballistic resistance. It's now at 25, with beam now sitting at 30 stock. Thrusters are now at 75, and the level 1 and level 2 have been added. They both had some extra cushioning and some extra skills added, which is pretty crazy because I haven't touched my Silver Bullet in a while, but it's definitely gotten a lot more power increases there. But this is there in response dealing with the fact that the Silver Bullet is actually a pretty big unit. Not so much like tall, but it's punchy, very much like the Dovid. So it's they're apparently noticing that it's suffering high hit rate and just pretty much dying before it can even do anything. So yeah, based on a lot of stuff, it's underperforming 47%, 40% at 700. Yeah, I don't even as somebody that's asked about this before and kind of looked at the general makeup that is 700, especially with it being unicorn territory before the buff, or before the nerf, sorry, not buff. Yeah, I wouldn't even bring a Silver Bullet into that equation because it doesn't have a lot at the time to kind of combat that speed. Like, you can do other things, try to play mid-range a little bit more to kind of space it, but based on the statistics, according to them, this is what justified a lot of those changes, the extra cushioning. So we'll see. It'll be kind of cool to see, the extra power, maybe some decent montages, but I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. You never know. Never know, but yeah, I didn't think it necessarily needed a boost, especially at 650, but it's here. Our boy Dryson's also getting a boost too, with getting more HP, thruster caps being increased, as well as adjusting to its force injector. There's also more changes to the level 4, which has a thruster output change and increase to enhanced tackling. So it'll be a little more beefier, maybe a threat, more of a threat at other cost ranges, especially at 550, but we'll see. It's hard to say. I know a lot of people like to frontline with it. It's kind of still respected in that regard until you get higher cost, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And as we mentioned earlier, Banshee's getting that nerf. Jumping now to the steak sauce, getting 1,000 HP and increasing respectively for every iteration. I think there's 2 extra levels past level 1. Sorry, it's been a while. You're also getting the increase to the assault booster skill with the level 1. It's getting level 2. Enhanced tackle. I'm kind of skipping this really quickly because of the limited time. We are also getting a unit speed increase, so its walk speed is now 135 for level 3, as well as extra additional skills, and tackle, reaction time, and extra cushioning to the twing. As we mentioned earlier in our little segment, you are getting the ability to equip the Rizel beam rifle, which adds another melee. The beam cannons on its hips are being increased base power of 700, and the shield that it has now at 4,500, adding to this survivability. They don't really mention anything else as far as the Wave Rider mode, other than, yeah, the cushioning. They didn't really tweak the QQs at all on it. What would be kind of cool is if you can use it like the ZZ Gundam buffs that they had and be able to boost while in Wayfire mode, but I guess they wanted you to kind of run away with it, or really hard to say, but definitely could be a pain in the ass. I actually at some point take it out myself and try to do something with it. Bolo Noko, or Bowl of Oats as we call it, is also getting that buff like we talked about. It's getting that sensor unit sub-weapon in addition to its lovely combination of juggling melees and everything else. You're also getting precision analysis system, tying into the sensor unit. Adjustments to its force projector now to level 2, and various assault boosters to all the different versions. So, according to them, underpowered, and not necessarily winning most of the fights, I guess. Hard to think. HML getting additions with the ram attack, as well as some changes to its walking speed and thruster. And the arm grenades are getting a buff too for the level 2. So interesting. We'll probably see some more usage out of the Zeta in the near future. We'll be fine with that. White Rider's also getting a buff too, going to 17k now and increasing respectively for the two versions. Same with its beam and melee resistance. It's now up at 22 and 23, with the thruster count now at 60. And then the back on buffer now increased to level 2, and the Shekinah now being usable at 300 meters, playing the mid-range role a little bit more. And it's one of the few suits that has a melee combo. I can't remember if it has balance. I don't think it does. Most generals don't, with a few exceptions in the specific cost range, but there are some balancings for that. But yeah, stats, as they suggest, underperforming, and so it gets a buff. The quest one? Yeah, the Quest Pariah one. Jagdoga getting the buff as well. Going up to 23k for HP. Damage control has now been given. And level 2 is getting a thruster increase to 70. Overheat for the Mega Particle Cannon has been reduced to 22 seconds. Focus is now 5.5 seconds, and the power output for the level 2 version is now 1500. Both its bundles are getting tweaked. As far as the level 2, the level 2 is now at 350 power for the pincer, and the surround now at 450. And I think the lock-on distance they mentioned, as you see here, does apply to both. So it's gonna be interesting to see if people run this and see if that makes any changes in a positive way. Because yeah, every time I hear or see a quest, Jagdoga, it's kind of frowned upon right now, just underperforming as they see here. So that's their answer to that. So on to the main event. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, our main event is a 2-star 450 support from Neo Zeon. This is the Ga-Zowmn Gunner Type, specializing in long-range sniping, as they call it, with its Sniper, Knuckle Buster, and Beam Launcher, and it's able to transform, very much like its Gaza C cousin. So this is going to be pretty nasty. I've seen a few clips of this in action. The beam launcher being a irradiation type of weapon, and rather than just a shoot and forget type of deal, it's definitely got some bite to it. I feel like based on the stats that I've seen, it's, and I do want to credit some people for that, which will, for the sake of video length, we'll probably omit that out, but it has no melee defense, and that's kind of crazy. Just because the Sniper 3 that was fairly recent is another suit that's kind of like very squishy, but it also kind of almost follows the same philosophy as long range, high, and also, what is that? Say, for lack of a better term, very high risk, high reward in that sense, because even just looking at the base stats, which you won't see it here, and I just don't have the suit, unfortunately. Sorry. It's pretty nasty, even for a 2-star. And with the current lineup that we have at 450, yeah, it's kind of, it's going to be really down to the pilot behind the new suit. So, very interested to see how I'm going to fight something like this. How, if a general happens to get too close to it, how it's going to melt, or more importantly, how that's going to deal with the fact that without melee armor, how fast the general's going to down it. That's always kind of one of those science things there. In addition to that, we also have a side banner, as we mentioned. The level 2 600 version is here, so that's available. I happen to get lucky and get this, but not get the banner suit, so you know, we all can't win them. Maybe I'll just have to wait for payday, but it is very curious to see how the 600 version is going to hold out, since the Hazel Custom, the high mobility version, uses the level 2 version of the weapons, which are at, I believe, 2K for the beam rifle, and the sabers are at about 2300, which is based off the 550 version of the Hazel Custom. So, I don't know, might be enough based on what I saw in practice. It definitely chunked out damage on a support, but because it has limited weapons, namely the fact that you're able to akimbo both beam rifles as a sub-weapon, and then you have finally some multi-launcher action with it in this version. Very interesting to see how it'll perform at a higher cost now. Now, of course, since it is a raid, it's going to be, well, I don't know. We'll see. Alright, folks, as mentioned earlier, we do have a boosted supply drop for the new Ga-Zowmn, so if you've been saving up and want to spend frugally, the half off is available there, and I definitely would recommend that. If you're still even on the fence of even getting the new suit, or maybe you want to save that for the next major suit that's coming out at the end of the year, who knows? I don't have any details or anything of that sort, because, well, I'm not a mind reader. But if you're kind of saving in anticipation, half off is definitely a nice guilty-free indulgence. So definitely look forward to that. Alright, folks, with that said, that'll be it for tonight's banner news. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, we did not get the suit at all, so we'll be more than likely doing a follow-up gameplay video in the near future. Unfortunately, I do apologize for the flow of today's video. I'm a little under the weather, as we are full swing in the holiday season, so it is to be put it frankly, it is definitely taking its toll. So we'll see with future endeavors, but if you enjoyed this video in some form or fashion, found it informative, any sort of those things, please definitely do not hesitate to hit that like, and also subscribe to the channel for more information, more videos, more of the other content, as well as some of the other things that we do get into here. And until the next video, I'll see you guys next time.